The night my oldest son lost his battle with brain cancer, I felt like my world had ended. My parents had turned their backs on me, and my ex-wife mocked me when I asked for help. I carried everything alone until I almost broke. I came dangerously close to giving up, but I didn't. I chose to keep living for my younger sons. I thought the hardest part of my story was over. Until 1 week later, a knock on the door changed everything I thought I knew about family, love, and survival. My name is Ethan Marlowe. I am a father of 3 boys, or at least I was until cancer took Landon, my oldest. He was just 14 and loved the stars, mesmerized by their endless possibilities. My 5-year-old twins, Caleb and Noah, are energetic, innocent, and too young to understand the depth of our grief. My parents, Richard and Helen, are alive, but in many ways I had already lost them. They saw me as a failure who never met their expectations. And then there's Melissa, my ex-wife, who left our marriage and our children for a life she thought was better without us. This is not a story about strength. It's a story of being broken, of asking for help and being denied, of losing what mattered most and finding a reason to keep going. It's about the night I nearly gave up and the day a stranger knocked on my door and transformed my pain into something I never expected: hope. If you had met me a few years ago, you would have seen a man who thought he had it all figured out. I was 38, a high school history teacher in a small town where everyone knew everyone else. I had 3 boys who made me proud every day, even though raising them alone was challenging. I lived paycheck to paycheck, stretching every dollar, but I never let my kids feel they were missing out. My life was simple, maybe ordinary, but for me, it was everything. We lived in a small 2-bedroom apartment on the 2nd floor of an aging brick building. It was cramped and cold in the winter, and the plumbing rattled like it was begging for mercy. But to my boys, it was home. We filled it with laughter, school projects scattered across the kitchen table, and stacks of library books that never stopped multiplying. Landon was tall for his age, with a mop of brown hair that refused to stay in place. He had a gentle soul, noticing when someone was tired and quietly offering help. His passion was astronomy. We'd sit together on the balcony, bundled in jackets, staring at the night sky through a second-hand telescope I had bought years ago. He'd point out constellations, his eyes full of wonder. "Dad," he once asked, "do you think other kids are looking at us right now?" I told him I believed they were, and he smiled as if the universe had made sense in that moment. The twins were a whirlwind. Caleb was bold and mischievous, while Noah was cautious but endlessly curious. They finished each other's sentences, invented their own games, and ran circles around me until I collapsed on the couch, laughing and pretending to be defeated. Raising twins was chaos, but also pure joy. Being a single father wasn't my plan. I had been married to Melissa, my college sweetheart. For a time, it worked. But as years passed, she wanted more money, status, excitement. I was steady, a teacher with steady dreams. She wanted more than I could offer. When she left, she walked away from the life we built together and the responsibilities of raising our children. She remarried quickly, living across town in a larger house, calling the boys occasionally, but remaining distant. My children learned not to expect much. Each missed call and broken promise stung Landon's eyes and mine. My parents were only 15 minutes away, yet felt a world apart. My father, Richard, was stern, measuring success in wealth and titles. Teaching, to him, was failure. My mother rarely challenged him, her silence cutting as deep as his words. When I asked for help with the twins, he said, "You chose this life. Handle it." And so I learned not to rely on them. Even with all of that, life felt full because of my children. Every morning, their laughter and arguments filled the apartment. I spent my days teaching history, and my evenings cooking, helping with homework, and sharing quiet moments with Landon on the balcony. I was exhausted, but it was the kind of tired that comes with purpose. Then the headache started. At first, I thought it was stress or too much screen time. But when his vision blurred and he collapsed in the kitchen, fear gripped me. The hospital tests confirmed it. Brain cancer, a tumor. The words shattered my world. My boy who loved the stars, now faced a battle that threatened to extinguish his light. Suddenly, everything else, my classroom, struggles with Melissa, my father's disapproval felt meaningless. I realized life would never be the same. The weeks after Landon's diagnosis were like stepping into a nightmare that refused to end. The hospital became a second home, its sterile smell and constant beeping etched into my senses. Doctors explained treatment plans, surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, but nothing was guaranteed. All I could focus on was Landon lying in that bed, his once bright eyes dulled by exhaustion, and I kept asking myself, how do I keep my family together while the world falls apart? The challenge wasn't just the cancer, it was life itself. I was a single father with a full-time job and 3 children, one critically ill. Caleb and Noah were only 5, needing constant supervision, meals, baths, bedtime stories, and comfort. I couldn't leave them alone, but I couldn't abandon Landon at the hospital either. Every day I woke torn in two, desperate to be everywhere at once, knowing I was failing in both places. At first, I tried to manage alone. I brought coloring books and toys to the hospital, so the twins could stay with me while I sat by Landon's side. They played quietly on the waiting room floor, their laughter cutting painfully against the backdrop of medical monitors and crying families. The nurses were kind, offering snacks or keeping an eye on them, but I knew it couldn't last. The twins deserved stability, not endless hours in sterile corridors. I called my parents. My hands shook, my voice raw. Mom, Dad, I need help. Landon's treatments start tomorrow. Can you watch Caleb and Noah for a few hours, a couple days a week? My mother spoke first, quiet and hesitant. Ethan, we're too old for that. You know how your father feels. Then my father's voice, sharp and cold. You made your choices. You decided to be a teacher, to marry that woman, to keep those kids. It's not our job to fix your life. I pleaded. Dad, it's not about me. It's Landon. He's dying. I need to be with him. Please. You've been coddled too long. You figure it out. He snapped, and the line went dead. I was alone in a way I had never been before. My parents, only minutes away, had turned their backs on their grandchildren. Melissa wasn't any better. Calling her was a last resort, but I had no other choice. When she answered, her voice was clipped. What do you want, Ethan? It's Landon. He's getting worse. I need to be at the hospital, and I can't bring the twins. Please, I'm begging you. She laughed. You're asking me to babysit because you can't manage your own life? You figure it out, Ethan. I moved on, and you should too. I sat there, the phone pressed to my ear, unable to move. My heart felt like it was caving in. I had begged her for help, not for me, but for our children, and she had mocked me. That moment confirmed it. I was truly alone. So I kept dragging the twins to the hospital, their backpacks stuffed with toys and snacks, trying to split myself between them and Landon. Some nights I held Landon's hand as he drifted into restless sleep, while Caleb and Noah curled up in chairs beside me. Every morning, I woke more exhausted, praying for strength I didn't have. Every night, as I watched Landon's body weaken, I wondered how long I could go on before collapsing completely. The night Landon died, the world seemed to stop. Rain pounded the hospital windows. Thunder rolled across the sky, as if the earth mourned with me. I held his hand, watching his chest rise and fall more slowly with each breath. His eyes, once bright and full of wonder, fluttered open one last time. He smiled faintly. Dad, don't be sad. Promise me you'll take care of Caleb and Noah. I promise, son, I whispered, my voice trembling. He nodded, closed his eyes, and within minutes, he was gone. The silence that followed was not peaceful. It was crushing. My firstborn, my Landon, was gone. After the funeral, I moved through life like a ghost. The twins were too young to understand. When I told them Landon had gone to heaven, they cried briefly and then clung to me. I gave them comfort, but inside, I was hollow. At night, I sat alone in the apartment, staring at Landon's telescope, still pointed at the stars he loved. One night, I considered ending it. Pills sat on the kitchen table. My hands shook as I unscrewed the cap. memories of Landon flooding my mind. I told myself I had failed him. I had failed to protect him. The world was cruel, and I was too weak to fight. Then Caleb wandered in, rubbing his eyes, clutching his stuffed dinosaur. "Daddy, are you okay?" His small, innocent voice pierced through the darkness. Noah joined moments later, their tiny arms wrapped around me. In that instant, I made a decision. I could not leave them. I would live for them. I flushed the pills down the toilet, a physical symbol of choosing life over despair. The days that followed were not easy. Grief weighed heavily, but I began to rebuild. I made breakfast for the boys, walked them to the park, tucked them into bed, and told them stories of Landon, keeping his memory alive. I returned to teaching, clinging to routine and structure as a lifeline. 1 week later, as I was starting to find my footing, there came a knock at the door. It was late, and the twins were playing with blocks in the living room. I hesitated, wondering who could possibly be visiting. When I opened the door, a stranger stood there, tall, with streaks of gray in his hair, holding a leather folder. "Are you Ethan Marlowe?" he asked, voice steady but nervous. "Yes. Can I help you?" "My name is Jonathan Hale. I believe I'm your brother." The words hit me like a blow. My father had never mentioned another child. My mother had never hinted at it. It seemed impossible, yet the man before me radiated sincerity. "My brother?" I repeated, my voice sharp. Jonathan nodded. "I know this is a shock. I didn't know about you either, not until a few years ago. Our father Richard had an affair when he was younger. My mother raised me alone. I found your name while tracing our family history. I wanted to meet you and to let you know you don't have to carry this alone anymore. I can help, and I want to be here for you and the boys." Behind him, Caleb and Noah peeked out from the living room. "Daddy, who is it?" Noah asked. I looked at Jonathan, unsure. His eyes were calm, not seeking forgiveness, but offering support. "Come inside," I said finally. Jonathan stepped in, kneeling to meet the boys at their level. "Hi there, I'm Jonathan," he said gently. The twins, curious and trusting, quickly returned to their blocks. Jonathan's eyes shifted to me. "I can't replace what you've lost," he said quietly. "But maybe we were both missing something. You needed someone, and I needed a place to belong. I can't undo the past, but I can be here now." I expected anger, rejection, but instead, I felt relief. For the first time in months, maybe years, I wasn't entirely alone. I gestured to the couch. "Sit down. We have a lot to talk about." Over the next weeks, Jonathan became part of our lives. He helped with meals, played with the twins, and even accompanied me to the cemetery, standing quietly as I laid fresh flowers on Landon's grave. He didn't offer empty words, he simply shared the weight. The twins began calling him Uncle John, a title he accepted with tears in his eyes. He read to them, carried them on his shoulders, and answered their questions about life and death. When Caleb asked if Landon could see them from heaven, Jonathan knelt down and said, "I believe he can, and he's proud of all of you." Jonathan's presence reminded me that family isn't defined solely by blood. It's about who chooses to stand by you. My parents had abandoned me. Melissa had mocked me. But Jonathan, who had no obligation to me, chose to stay. The change didn't happen overnight. Grief still hit in waves. There were nights when I cried by the telescope, mornings when I wished it was all a dream. But slowly, I found strength in keeping the promise I made to Landon. I poured myself into raising Caleb and Noah, teaching them love, resilience, and kindness. With Jonathan's help, I began to believe that maybe we would be okay. One evening, as the sun set and the sky turned orange and purple, the four of us sat on the balcony. The twins took turns peering through Landon's telescope, squealing with excitement. Jonathan smiled as he listened to their debates about whose turn it was. I sat quietly, finally feeling a sense of peace. I thought about Landon and the promise I had made. His presence was alive in the laughter of his brothers. I whispered, "I kept my promise, son." Turning to Jonathan, I said, "Thank you for being here. You don't know what this means to us." He replied, "No, Ethan, You don't know what this means to me. I spent my life searching for family, and never thought I'd find it like this. You saved me too. I realized something essential. Loss had broken me. Betrayal had scarred me. But love had returned in an unexpected form. Those who hurt us do not define us. It's those who choose to stay, to support us without condition, who become our true family. That night, after the twins fell asleep, I stood on the balcony. The stars stretched endlessly above. For the first time since Landon's death, I felt gratitude alongside grief. I had lost my son, but I had not lost my purpose. I had found a brother, and together we were building a future that honored Landon's memory. Life can be dark, but light often appears where you least expect it. Sometimes in a knock on the door, a stranger who becomes family, and a reminder that even in the deepest sorrow, love can find you. I lost my son. I was abandoned by those I counted on. I nearly gave up, but I chose to live for my boys. And when I opened that door, I discovered that family isn't always who you expect. It's who chooses to stand by you when you need them most. If this story touched you, please like it to help others see it. Share it with someone who needs to hear that even in darkness, hope can arrive. Comment below, your words matter. And for more powerful stories, subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Remember, you are never truly alone.